Welcome to the Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors Radio. We've got a fast-paced hour of fishing, hunting, and conservation covering the nation and the Northwest, including 13 extra minutes of local content you'll only hear on Seattle's Sports Radio 950 KJR.
It's Saturday morning, and we've got two great guests for you talking about hunting today, both west and east of the Cascades. At the bottom of the hour, Guide Aaron Peterson with Peterson's Northwest Guide Service will talk decoys for ducks and geese and how he uses them to bag birds on his guided hunts in the North Sound. Meanwhile, at the end of our show today, Mike Meisberg from Mardon Resort in Grant County will join us to tell you about the Royal Slope Booster Club, your ticket to thousands of acres of private land where you can hunt pheasants, duck, and geese this hunting season for a very affordable price. Before we talk to Aaron and Mike, though, it's time to tell you, as we do every week, what's hot and what's not here in the Pacific Northwest, which is brought to you by your Puget Sound area Sportsman's Warehouse stores, where that free-to-enter Coho Derby is ending on the 31st. Here's the deal. For the few days you have left, get out there and catch a coho. The bigger, the better. Then take it to the Sportsman's Warehouse store in either Federal Way, Puyallup, Everett, or Silverdale. Get it photographed, get it weighed, and you are entered for a chance to win a gift card worth anywhere from $100 to $1,000. One place you can go to catch some of those coho is in Southwest Washington. State creel checkers were out at the Cowlitz and Lewis Rivers last weekend and found on the Lewis 106 bank anglers with 5 Chinook, 9 coho jacks, and 5 release Chinook. Boat anglers weren't doing much better. 37 rods kept 1 Chinook, 3 jacks, 3 coho, and 9 coho jacks, along with a steelhead. Things were a bit better on the Cowlitz River, both up and downstream from the I-5 bridge. The better fishing was above that bridge, where 60 bank rods released 27 Chinook and 1 coho jack. 30 rods on 21 boats kept 7 coho jacks and 2 steelhead and released 21 Chinook. Why all the released Chinook? Because you can't keep them on the Cowlitz anymore from the mouth to the barrier dam. What else is hot? Razor clamming is hot this weekend on the Southwest Washington coast, and you'll want to bring your headlamps because it's open tonight at Twin Harbors and Copalis. Low tide is at 9:19 p.m., and tomorrow, Sunday, low tide's at 10:08 p.m. The open beaches, Twin Harbors, and Mock Rocks. The limit is the first 15 razor clams you dig. Another opportunity is some fall kokanee fishing, and one place to do it is at Lake Stevens in Snohomish County. Poster Josh H. did exactly that last weekend and had a good outing, sharing the results on NorthwestFisheryReports.com. Josh was trolling a pink Elgin fishing God's Tooth spoon 30 feet deep at about 1.2 miles per hour and boated 8 kokanee, and some of those were pretty good sized. Better still, the fish are in good condition, and Josh says they cut quite nicely. And as we all know, it is hard to beat the taste of kokanee off the grill. Last but not least, I enjoyed a cast and blast trip at Potholes Reservoir in eastern Washington last Friday with Shelby Ross, the owner of Ross Outdoor Adventures. We knocked down 5 ducks, which wasn't too bad for a bluebird day in October, and then went walleye fishing, boating 8 keepers up to 4 pounds in size, along with several bonus fish to include a couple of 3+ pound bass that were released. So there you go. Now you know what's hot and what's not, right here in the Pacific Northwest.
That's your first local shot of the outdoors. Now let's see what's going on across the nation. Sportsman's Warehouse is America's premier outfitter, and with over 90 locations, you're sure to find a store near you full of the gear you need to succeed this hunting season. Firearms, ammo, archery equipment, decoys, clothing, boots, and more. You'll find it all at Sportsman's Warehouse. Better still, the knowledgeable staff can help you with tips and frequent in-store seminars, all designed to help you bag a trophy or a limit this hunting season. Find a location near you or shop online today at sportsmanswarehouse.com.
Are you looking to reel in the marketing opportunity of a lifetime? America Outdoors Radio has sponsorships available, and we offer affordable platforms to reach thousands of listeners. Find out more by contacting John Cruz through his website at AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com.
It's time for America Outdoors Radio, the show that covers the outdoor scene across the U.S. of A. and the entire continent. Fishing, hunting, conservation, outdoor recreation, and great destinations, we cover it all every week. It's your country, your outdoors. Let's explore it together with your host, John Cruz.
Welcome aboard. I'd like to start off by asking you a question. When you decide where to go fishing, what are the key factors that lead you to the lake, river, or bay you're heading to? Southwick & Associates just did a survey about that through anglersurvey.com, and anglers said it better be close to home. That's right, 60% of the anglers asked said the proximity of their fishing spot to home was a really big deal when it came to deciding where to go fishing. Other things that came into play into their decision-making included past fishing success, 47% of the respondents, having a quiet place to fish, 45%, and the availability of fish, 44%. What about you? Are these your key factors that go into figuring out where to go fishing for the weekend? And I suspect this is geared to the weekend angler as opposed to somebody going on an adventure as part of a spring or summer vacation or cast and blast getaway in the fall for several days. But then again, maybe these folks are included when it comes to this, so we'll just take it for what it's worth. This week on the show, we're going to tell you about a state that you need to put on your list of places to go for November hunting. It's a state that doesn't get all the attention it deserves. But after Mike Miller with Kansas Wildlife Parks and Tourism breaks down the great opportunities available to non-resident hunters for deer, ducks, and upland birds, you just may be making a fall road trip to the Sunflower State. After we talk to Mike Miller, we'll get a chance to check in with Jim Kalkofen with TargetWalleye.com. He's going to tell you about some of the best lakes and rivers to fish for walleye in North America from west to east and north of the border this coming month of November. Oh, and Jim will also share some tactical advice with you so you can catch some of those walleye when you get to his recommended waters. We've got an assortment of outdoors news for you, too, this week about duck hunting, a new state record pike, and a story ready-made for Halloween. After that, we'll talk to Drew YoungDyke. He works for the National Wildlife Federation. It's an organization I had some misconceptions about, but Drew is going to set me straight about the work this organization is doing, and if you're a hunter or angler, you'll be interested in hearing what he has to say. Finally, with fishing in mind, we're going to be giving away 4 more salmon spinners from McCombie's Custom Lures out of Portland, Oregon. Whether you're fishing Oregon's Tillamook Bay, a Coho River on the West Coast, or the Great Lakes, these spinners, which we are giving away with number 7 Colorado and number 7 Willow Blades, will help you get into the salmon this fall. To enter, simply go to our Facebook page at America Outdoors Radio, like and follow our page, then look for the post where we're doing this giveaway, and just let us know the city and state you tune into our show from. If you know the station, include that information too. If you don't do Facebook, that's all right. I understand. Just go to our website at AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com and shoot us an email with that same info, and you're entered for a chance to win this 4-pack of spinners from McCombie's Custom Lures. Next on America Outdoors Radio, you've been hearing a lot about bear encounters this fall, especially with hunters. But you know, bears will also have encounters with anglers too. So how do you stay safe out there? We are talking to somebody to help you with that. His name is Ken Marsh. He's a public information officer for Alaska Department of Fish and Game. Ken, welcome to the show.
Thank you, John. Glad to be here.
So, Ken, fishing in bear country, Alaska Department of Fish and Game's actually got a great article about this very subject. Let's talk about how you can stay safe from an encounter with a bear while you're fishing. And we'll start off while you're actually doing your fishing. When you're on the bank, you're casting a line, you've maybe got some fish on the stringer, so to speak. What can you do so that a bear doesn't come up and try to take them out and try to maybe take you out too?
Well, probably the first thing to remember is that if a bear learns it can obtain fish just by approaching anglers, it's going to return for more. So, if you don't want to be training a bear today to become somebody else's problem tomorrow. So if a bear, first of all, approaches you while you're fishing, stop fishing. If the bear continues to approach you, you may need to step out of its way, basically avoid the animal. If a bear approaches you while you have a fish in your line, give the line some slack so that the fish doesn't splash. And if the bear keeps approaching, you'd hate to do it, but you might have to cut the line. Basically, you don't want that bear to be rewarded with fish. So those would be a couple of things that I could come up with just off the top of my head.
Ken, that's really, really interesting. I've actually never heard that before. But what about when you do have fish? And like I said, they might be up on the bank, they might be on the stringer. What are some recommendations you have to keep those bears away?
Well, basically, don't throw your fish up on the bank to begin with would probably be the best way to get started. Keep them on a stringer. A lot of folks say bleed them out first, which means cutting a gill so that it bleeds well. Put them on a stringer and keep them in the water and keep them near you. Don't go more than maybe 10 or 12 feet from the fish in your stringer. Some people will actually attach a stringer to their belt and let them kind of hang in the water beside them. That's going to keep the scent down, and it's also going to keep you close to the fish so that if a bear approaches, you can take some action and hopefully keep him from coming up close.
Speaking of scent, eventually fishermen and hunters too, they're going to head back to camp. And whether they have fish or whether they have other food, that's going to attract bears. That can attract brown bears, grizzlies, and black bears. What do you do to minimize those visits or actually keep the bears from visiting at all?
Well, as far as actually back there at camp, or when you're walking from the stream to camp?
Well, let's go ahead and take that walk to camp. That's a great idea. So we're walking back to camp. What do we do?
Again, I would take measures to minimize scent and not be dragging fish along the ground and that sort of thing. I would probably take out like a large trash bag, large plastic trash bag. Go ahead and clean my fish there at the stream if possible. Throw the entrails, fins, and that kind of stuff out into the current so that they drift off, so they're not just hanging there by the bank where they might draw bears. Go ahead and seal the fish in the trash bags, wrap it up, put it in your pack, and go ahead straight back to camp.
All right. And once you're back at camp, I presume it's all about safe storage and minimizing scent, isn't it?
It is, absolutely. And a lot of people, you want to get those fish on ice right away. You want to keep them nice and fresh. And if you can get them into a nice cooler with a locking top, that would be the best thing to do, and be on your way.
So invest in a bear-proof cooler. That's a good call there. If not, you can always hang that food that you have at camp, whether it be fish or otherwise, from a convenient tree branch. Make sure it's tall enough that a bear can't get at it and that it's far enough away from the tree itself so that a bear can't climb up and get it either. Great tips for fishing in bear country, great tips for camping in bear country so you can stay safe. One last question for you, Ken. You're up in Alaska. When are those brown bears, those grizzlies, those black bears, when are they going to finally den up and go to bed for the winter?
They will tend to stay up and around as long as there's food availability, particularly when we have warmer weather than normal, which we're having right now in south central Alaska. As long as there's not a lot of snow on the ground, it's not getting terribly cold, but more importantly, as long as there's food available, those bears will tend to stay up, and we've had brown bears up well into December, even with a lot of snow on the ground, because they've got a food source, something like a moose kill, or even worse, maybe people leaving trash out where bears are able to reach the trash. So as long as there's food available, they're pretty hardy critters, and they'll stay up late.
Ken, you have truly educated me about bear behavior today. So folks, bottom line is this: don't reward those bears with food. Store it safely, keep it away from them, and you will have no problems, or at least a lot fewer problems if you do. Ken, thanks for sharing this with us today on America Outdoors Radio.
All right, thank you.
I'd like to welcome a new sponsor to our show. It's Sportsman's Cove Lodge, and many anglers who have been there will tell you it really is Alaska's best lodge. Sportsman's Cove Lodge sits on a salmon highway full of kings and silvers. There's halibut too, and there are some really big ones. Finally, with decades of experience taking care of customers, Sportsman's Cove Lodge knows how to treat you right from start to finish. Ready to book your trip of a lifetime? Then call Sportsman's Cove Lodge at 800-962-7889. That's 800-962-7889. 800-962-7889 for Sportsman's Cove Lodge.
Trolling for big salmon? Then tie on a spoon or spinner from McCombie's Custom Lures. These high-quality, made-in-the-USA lures help you catch more Chinook and coho. Whether you troll an Elite Series spoon, a Champion Glow spoon with a squid skirt, or a 3.5 Mini Colorado spinner, you'll be increasing your chances for a fish on. Look for McCombie's Custom Lures at Sportsman's Warehouse and other quality sporting goods stores on the West Coast and Alaska, or online at McCombie'sCustomLures.com.
Hello, I'm Mark Hemstreet, owner of Shiloh Inns. Shiloh is proud to be celebrating over 40 years of providing you, our valued Shiloh customers, with Shiloh's sincere friendliness, efficient customer service, and clean, comfortable, attractive, non-smoking rooms and suites, all at an affordable price. Shiloh also offers many free amenities like free Wi-Fi and free continental breakfast or hot, full, delicious breakfast at most Shiloh Inns, as well as pools, spas, steam, sauna rooms, exercise fitness facilities, and business centers. And even the kids stay free. And for you dog lovers, Shiloh is very dog friendly. So ask your best friend where he or she wants to stay. Next time you're traveling for business or pleasure, we think you'll get a paws up for Shiloh Inns. For reservations, call 1-800-222-2244 or visit our website at shilohins.com. Shiloh Inns, affordable excellence. American family owned and proud of it.
For those who enjoy the outdoors, their favorite season in Moses Lake is fall. The days are clear and calm and perfect for outdoor adventures. Whether you like to fish, hunt, or explore the high desert landscape, Moses Lake has the best opportunities on the dry side of the state. Experience the fun of dining and entertainment in the evening, too. Discover all Moses Lake has to offer in the fall by logging on to MosesLake360.com. That's MosesLake360.com.
Tillamook Bay is considered the greatest fishing experience on the west coast for fall Chinook salmon and winter steelhead, and Dungeness crab is plentiful. 5 major rivers connect with the ocean on the Tillamook coast. It's not unusual to snag a 40 to 50 pounder. Go out in a boat or stand on a riverbank or dock. Try fishing from a dory boat and experience the thrill of a beach launch and landing. Use spinners, sand shrimp, or salmon eggs to lure them. The fish will line up to grab your bait. Go to tillamookcoast.com/fishing to find guides and places to stay.
Looking to reel in the marketing opportunity of a lifetime? Then set the hook, because we've got it right here. America Outdoors Radio has sponsorships available, and we offer an affordable platform to reach thousands of listeners interested in fishing, hunting, and the outdoors. Find out more by contacting host John Cruz through his website at AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com. That's AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com. But hurry, if you wait too long, this big opportunity might just get away. That's AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com.
This year, go duck and goose hunting without the hassle, and do so with Peterson's Northwest Guide Service. Aaron Peterson is offering guided hunts for puddle ducks as well as snow geese on leased lands in Skagit and Snohomish counties. That's right, you don't have to rush to the public land hotspot at 2 a.m. or drive over the pass. You can enjoy quality hunting without the crowds with top-notch guides within an hour of Seattle. Book your trip now at petersonsnorthwest.com. That's petersonsnorthwest.com for a great day of hunting. You're back with America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz. We're going to tell you about a place you may not have thought of as a great hunting destination. It's the Sunflower State, the state of Kansas. And with us here to tell you more about it is Mike Miller, who works for the state and knows all about hunting and fishing there. Mike, welcome to the show.
Glad to be here, John.
So, Mike, let's start off with deer, because I think most folks do know that Kansas is a great place to look for white-tailed deer, and November is a really good time to go after them.
Yeah, we're kind of known as one of those trophy whitetail destination states, and that has just really, grown in interest over the last, say, 7 or 8 years. We've always had a one-buck policy for residents and non-residents, and I think that's allowed. I think our biggest secret is we let deer get to be 4.5 and 5.5 years old, and that's one of the reasons we have, good trophy deer. Our rut usually starts the end of October, that first week in November, and that's when the bow hunters really like to be in the woods here, because when the rut gets going, things get crazy.
When it comes to non-resident opportunities, how does that work in terms of getting a tag, in terms of getting access? Is there a lot of public land, or is it mostly private land and outfitters that you're working with?
Well, the first question is, it is a limited draw for non-resident hunters. The application period is the month of April, and it's an online application that you can make through our website at ksoutdoors.com, and then there is a drawing held. Success rates are very high. We set our quotas to try to meet demand. Now, demand has shifted and has increased in some units in recent years, and so in the eastern part of the state where we used to have leftover permits, we're now seeing some of those units oversubscribed. But we do have adjustment factors, and we do make adjustments from year to year. That application period, again, is in the month of April, and you'll need to do that to be ready for the next year's season.
Regarding access, is there a lot of public lands for hunters to find there, or is it mainly working through private outfitters and getting on leased lands?
Well, Kansas is a private land state, so it's 97% privately owned. So most of our hunting does occur on private lands. We manage, probably close to 1.7 million acres. Most of that, 1 million acres of that, is in our walk-in hunting access program, which is private lands we lease as an agency and open to public hunting. The rest of that is in, areas around reservoirs and lands that we own and manage for public lands. So, again, most of the hunting is done on private land, so you'd need to either have a contact with landowners or work through an outfitter.
All right. So I was going to ask you about elk because, folks, believe it or not, I didn't know this. There is elk hunting to be had in Kansas, but it's very limited. It's only open to state residents. So let's turn our focus to birds, because I'm guessing you can buy an over-the-counter license and you can go pheasant hunting in Kansas right now.
You can. The season opens the second Saturday in November this year, so it won't open until November 10th. However, all you need is a non-resident hunting license, which is $97.50. The season lasts through the end of January, and our licenses, as of this year, are 365-day licenses. So if you buy a license now, it's going to be good through the entire pheasant season. We're always in one of the top 3 states in the nation for pheasant harvest. I think last year we were probably number 2. We're looking at what we consider fair to good pheasant hunting in most of our primary regions this year. We've come off a series of dry winters, and so that isn't the best nesting habitat for pheasants early in the spring, but we still are going to be one of the top states for pheasant hunting this year again.
And when it comes to upland birds, I'm guessing if you have pheasant, you've probably got a pretty healthy population of quail too, don't you?
Yeah, we were actually the top state in the nation for quail harvest last year. We're usually right there with Oklahoma, Texas as far as harvest. And we've seen in the last 3 years a modern quail boom, especially in the north central, south central, and southwest parts of our state. And the dry winters haven't hurt the quail because we started getting rains in say, April and May, and the quail nest later than pheasants. And so our bobwhite populations have been very, very good the last few years.
Getting back to access, so you already explained that primarily we're talking private lands here. The state does have a lot of lands that are managed as walk-in properties. Is that what these upland bird hunters are taking advantage of, is these walk-in properties, or are they, again, going with private outfitters?
You know, the walk-in properties are where our bird hunters really shine, because a lot of times it's CRP or it's native grass or it's the deer hunting leases are really tough for us to compete with because of what people are willing to pay to hunt white-tailed deer. But we can lease lands that are very good bird hunting, and so the majority of our walk-in areas in the western part of the state are good for upland birds. And so we have an atlas. We call it our hunting atlas that we make available online, and we have printed copies that we'll mail to people, or they can pick them up wherever they buy their license, and it shows all of our walk-in areas as well as our federal and state areas. So a guy can pick up one of these and really travel around and look at these areas and find a lot of good bird hunting areas. It's like anything. You have to do a little bit of scouting because from one year to the next, farming practices change, weather, circumstances are different, and so it does take a little bit of groundwork for the hunter, but you've got this 1.5 million acres at your fingertips with that atlas.
You're listening to America Outdoors Radio. We're talking with Mike Miller with the Kansas Department of Wildlife, Parks, and Tourism about the 83,000 square miles of hunting opportunities, along with fishing and bird watching that await in the Sunflower State. So we've talked about pheasants, we've talked about quail, we've talked about deer, all great opportunities. This is going to be a big economic boom to the state of Kansas.
Absolutely. Hunters spend well over $400 million a year in Kansas, and in the western part of the state, it's really important to a lot of those rural communities. I grew up in one of those communities, and that was the only time I ever saw all the motels in our town full, was that opening weekend and maybe that second weekend of pheasant season. And so it's a big deal. They roll out the red carpet for bird hunters and hunters in general. They have hunter breakfasts. They're dog-friendly motels. They really do want to attract and accommodate hunters in these smaller communities in western Kansas.
Well, I'll tell you what, you've got me wanting to come out to Kansas right now to enjoy some of this. But one other opportunity we need to talk about, duck hunting. I don't think most people think of Kansas as a great duck hunting state, but you've got a lot of opportunities for both ducks and geese, don't you?
We do. Again, we're highly agricultural, and so we have some large marshes, reservoirs through the central part of the state and eastern part of the state. And so the waterfowl will come, and when we have good water conditions like we do this year, we've had an awful lot of rain the last 2 months, those waterfowl will stay. Ducks and geese both will stay in the area for a length of the fall because there's so much food available. They can roost on the reservoirs and marshes and then feed on the harvested crop fields that are just, a short distance away from anywhere in Kansas, basically, because we are so agricultural. So we can have some very good duck and goose hunting that'll last clear into, the late seasons that'll go into February. So we can have some really, really fine waterfowl hunting for both ducks and geese.
Well, there you have it, folks. As you just heard, Kansas is definitely worth a hard look, and I'd say a trip. Whether you're a whitetail deer hunter, whether you're a pheasant hunter, whether you want to go after bobwhite quail, or if you want to go after ducks and geese, the Sunflower State is definitely the place to go. What's the website where folks can find out more and start planning a trip, Mike?
It's www.ksoutdoors.com, and you can find everything you need. You can buy your licenses. We try to be a one-stop shop website for hunters.
That's ksoutdoors.com. Check it out, buy your license, and plan your hunting trip to Kansas right now. Thanks for sharing this with us today, Mike.
It was my pleasure.
I'd like to welcome a new sponsor to our show. It's Sportsman's Cove Lodge, and many anglers who have been there will tell you it really is Alaska's best lodge. Sportsman's Cove Lodge sits on a salmon highway full of kings and silvers. There's halibut too, and there are some really big ones. Finally, with decades of experience taking care of customers, Sportsman's Cove Lodge knows how to treat you right from start to finish. Ready to book your trip of a lifetime? Then call Sportsman's Cove Lodge at 800-962-7889. That's 800-962-7889. 800-962-7889 for Sportsman's Cove Lodge.
There's a place where the fishing is year-round, where the sun shines 300 days a year. The wineries and breweries are right downtown. The hiking and cycling offer spectacular views you just don't get in the big cities. Fortunately, the place is real and vibrant. It's the Dalles, Oregon, just 90 short minutes from Portland, along the gorgeous Columbia River, where the adventures are limited only by your imagination. Find out more at explorethedalles.com.
Ready for more local fishing and hunting? You got it. It's the Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors Radio. right here on Seattle's Sports Radio 950 KJR.
We're checking in with Aaron Peterson again on America Outdoors Radio. He's the owner of Peterson's Northwest Guide Service. He's offering guided duck and goose hunts in Skagit and Snohomish counties this fall. Aaron, some of our listeners were wondering what a day in the field or on the water looks like when it comes to waterfowl hunting. I know they generally don't have to spend money for a hotel because you're like within an hour and a half in Seattle. So what time are they showing up to go hunt with you?
Well, typically, John, guys show up about a half an hour before daylight to the decoys set up and a nice warm cup of coffee waiting for them.
So if it's a field hunt, you're going to have those decoys out there for duck or geese. Question for you. When it comes to the decoys, are you one of those guys that uses the ultra-realistic decoys, and are you using hundreds and hundreds of them, or is less better in terms of quality over quantity?
Yeah, good question, John. When it comes to snow geese, more of the numbers are better. We mix rags, full bodies, flyers in. Typically with snow geese, numbers are the key. Lots and lots of snow geese decoys.
So snow geese have not gotten any smarter over the years. They'll still confuse a rag for a fellow snow goose.
Oh, yeah. At the beginning of the season, they might be a little less on the brain side.
Right. Well, that's good to know. When it comes to some of your water hunts, tell me about your floaters. Are you using, again, a big raft of decoys, or are you just using maybe a couple of dozen?
Depends on the time of the year. Usually later it gets into the season, we do scale back a little bit on our decoys, but we are using fully flocked or at least flocked head decoys.
And I think that's important because you can walk into a sporting goods store and for like less than $50, you can buy a dozen decoys. But those decoys, they're not going to work as well as these flock decoys. For our listeners who don't know, what's a flock decoy?
Flock decoy is, instead of a hard plastic with a shine, it is a felt-like surface that makes the duck or goose look more realistic.
And folks, these flock decoys, they work. Trust me, if you've got two hunters that are basically in two different ponds, those ducks, 9 times out of 10, they're going for those flocked, realistic decoys. So this is an indicator of what a professional Aaron is and how easy it is to hunt with him. Just bring your shotgun, just bring some warm clothes. He's got the coffee for you. He's got a dog for you. He's got the decoys for you. Just go out there, have a good time, enjoy the liberal limits. The website to go to, petersonsnorthwest.com. That's petersonsnorthwest.com for your waterfowl hunting this fall. Thanks, Aaron.
Thanks for having me, John.
Backcountry hunters and anglers, the men and women working hard to keep public lands in public hands. Check us out at backcountryhunters.org.
You're back with America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz. We're heading into November. A lot of you have put the fishing rods away for the season, but don't do it. There is some very good walleye fishing to be found in our United States of America this month. And with us here to tell you where to go in November for walleye is Jim Kalkofen. He is with TargetWalleye.com. Jim, welcome back to the show.
Hey, good to be with you, John, and talking one of my favorite species ever, walleyes.
I know you love your walleye, and I thought we'd spend a little time today talking about different places to target them throughout America. Why don't we start out in the western U.S.? What are a few places that you'd recommend for walleye fishing during the month of November?
Well, in November, there's a couple of really can't-miss places. There's a huge lake that does not get a lot of pressure. That's Roosevelt in sort of eastern Washington, part of the Columbia. And then further down on the Columbia is the tremendous fishing below a couple of dams, the McNary Dam and the John Day Dam there. And, boy, the fishing it's open year-round. And if you do get into some fish, you can actually keep some for eating. But the place in the west that I love for walleyes is Fort Peck Reservoir in eastern Montana. In fact, folks, I love it so much that I've given up, for 10 years straight, I gave up elk hunting and deer hunting just to fish the November walleye bite on Fort Peck. It is so tremendous.
Well, tell me more about this. I've always known Fort Peck to be a reliable fishery for walleye and lots of other species, but I didn't know there was a hot November bite. What's going on there, and how are you catching them?
Well, I tell you what, it's real easy. The fish are in about 20 to 30 feet off of the points, the main lake points, whether you're in the dry arm or up in the main lake, and use electronics, find the fish, and then fish the fish. And there's a lot of water there, and once you find the fish, you fish for them. And how we generally fish for them is real simple. Jigs, 1/4 ounce when it's not too windy, 3/8 when it's a little bit windier, with bigger minnows, 4 to 6 inch minnows. And in eastern Montana, you can use live bait, and that was one of our better bites. And then for the last several years, we've gone to something that really, really is effective, and that's the same size jigs, but using impulse swim baits or custom jigs and spins, ringworms, or any of the Berkeley Gulp and power bait products that are 3 to 4 inches long. Basically a jig in plastic. One thing you can do with that, John, is you can work it a little faster, and it's just a matter of casting out and hopping it on the bottom. And generally, when those walleyes have it, you have to really pry it out of their throats because they were intending to eat that and get fat for the winter.
I love it. All right. Well, let's head from the west to the Midwest. You know, it gets awfully cold this time of year in the Midwest, but I know you're a Midwestern boy through and through. Where do you like to fish in November?
Well, in November, great fishing out there. In fact, I've got pictures of 1 inch to 6 inches of snow in the boats while we've been fishing. And Lake of the Woods is a natural no-brainer up there on the border of Ontario and Minnesota. Lake of the Woods is not just great fishing, but the walleyes move in the fall. They follow the shiners that are coming in to spawn. They follow it up the Rainy River, so you can be fishing basically out of the wind and just jigging minnows up there works, jigging plastic like we've talked about, jigging wraps, and we'll talk about that a little later. But Lake of the Woods and the Rainy River. Then there's a lake in central Minnesota called Mille Lacs, and just tremendous walleye fishing along with smallmouth fishing. You'll catch smallmouth up to 6 pounds, even bigger, and some nice walleyes while you're doing it. But there are a couple other places. Manitoba, the Red River, a run of walleyes that come into the Red River. They're called greenbacks, and you'd never seen anything quite as pretty in your life as a greenback up there in Manitoba. Another Midwestern lake that I really love is Devil's Lake. Can't get enough of that place. You will not only catch walleyes doing whatever tactic you like to use there, but you'll catch a bunch of pike. And then Green Bay, of course, it's one of the premier Midwestern walleye meccas now for attracting lots of people. One thing about the Great Lakes, lots of wind, you got to pick your days.
You're listening to America Outdoors Radio. We're talking to Jim Kalkofen with TargetWalleye.com about some places you ought to consider targeting walleye in the month of November. So we've talked about some Midwestern destinations, some Western destinations. We've got stations back east, too. Where should they be fishing this month?
Well, there's no doubt. If you're in eastern part of Michigan, Saginaw Bay has a great population of walleyes. Saginaw Bay is a good fishery. And a lot of those walleyes are relatively shallow near shore, so you don't have to venture out too far. But the number one eastern walleye spot in the whole part of that world is Lake Erie. And again, we talk Great Lakes and we talk Lake Erie. The fact is, just a couple of years ago, it had the best hatch of walleyes ever in history. And I mean, there's a lot of guides. There's guides that fish there year-round. And most years they don't have ice, but even when you have ice, it's a great ice fishing spot. But Lake Erie, east to west, it doesn't matter where you're fishing on Lake Erie. Most of the fishing is in the western basin, Cleveland area over to the west end of the lake. And it's just a tremendous, tremendous walleye fishery for not only numbers, John, but big, big fish.
Well, I love it. And we talked to somebody else, the owner of Dutch Fork Custom Lures, Keith Eschbaugh. He's a tournament angler, too, and he was singing the praises of Lake Erie. I get the impression that right now, at least this year, Lake Erie might be the hottest walleye fishery in the entire country.
Well, it is. I had a friend of mine go out on Lake Erie just a couple of weeks ago, and his first 4 fish that he caught, he was trolling crankbaits. His first 4 fish were all over 10 pounds.
Oh, my gosh. That is incredible. All right, we are starting to run short on time, Jim, but before we go, I want you to tell folks about targetwalleye.com and why they should be going to that website.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity, John. Target Walleye is something that Al and Ron Linder and I started about 3 years ago. There are now 115,000+ subscribers receiving the 2 free, did I say free? Yes, free emails every week, and it's all about fishing, walleye fishing, across the North American continent. Now, John and I just talked about West, Midwest, and Eastern walleyes, and we not only talk about where to go, but we talk, the most important thing is tactics. How do people who are successful at catching walleyes do it so that if somebody like Keith Eshbo in Pennsylvania has a tactic that works, the people in Oregon can use it and it'll work. Vice versa, the people in Montana fishing have a tactic that works, and we talk about it, show it, have videos, and then the people in Kentucky can use it for their fishing down there. So we have a lot of fun. It's entertaining, and it's educational, and it's free, and that's why it's grown so rapidly. And we talk all walleyes in the open water, and then we transition into ice fishing here in just a little bit, because there's a lot of people that love ice fishing. It's the fastest growing segment of the fishing industry, in fact, and there's so many good tactics and tips and things that people need to know about that. So, John, targetwalleye.com, people go there, they enter their email address, and then they can read the emails at their pleasure on whatever kind of device they wish. So that's it, real simple. We're having a lot of fun with it. And as you can tell, with 115,000 subscribers, it keeps growing. So listeners out there of John's radio show, I think not only do you love his show, but you'd love Target Walleye as well. Thank you.
Well, Jim, I know I do. I subscribe to Target Walleye, and it is chock full of great information. So go to targetwalleye.com, sign up for the newsletter. Again, absolutely free. You're going to enjoy it. Jim, thanks so much for sharing this with us today on America Outdoors Radio.
Good to be with you guys.
There's no more majestic, magical, adventuresome country than the western United States of America to enjoy a great family vacation. Hello, I'm Mark Hemstreet, owner of Shiloh Inns. Shiloh Inns are still offering affordable 4-star accommodations at 2-star prices. Enjoy deluxe smoke-free suites, spacious pools and spas, and fully equipped fitness centers. From free high-speed internet in every room to a free continental breakfast or full, hot, delicious breakfast at most Shiloh Inns. There are no hidden fees like some of the big chain hotels charge. Even the kids stay free, and Shiloh Inns are dog-friendly. For reservations, call 1-800-222-2244 or visit our website at shilohinns.com. Shiloh Inns, affordable excellence. American family-owned and proud of it.
There's a place where the fishing is year-round, where the sun shines 300 days a year. The wineries and breweries are right downtown. The hiking and cycling offer spectacular views you just don't get in the big cities. Fortunately, the place is real and vibrant. It's the Dalles, Oregon, just 90 short minutes from Portland, along the gorgeous Columbia River, where the adventures are limited only by your imagination. Find out more at explorethedalles.com.
Trolling for big salmon? Then tie on a spoon or spinner from McCombie's Custom Lures. These high-quality, made-in-the-USA lures help you catch more Chinook and coho. Whether you troll an Elite Series spoon, a Champion Glow spoon with a squid skirt, or a 3.5 Mini Colorado spinner, you'll be increasing your chances for a fish on. Look for McCombie's Custom Lures at Sportsman's Warehouse and other quality sporting goods stores on the West Coast and Alaska, or online at McCombie'scustomlures.com.
Are you looking to reel in the marketing opportunity of a lifetime? Then set the hook because we've got it right here for you. America Outdoors Radio has sponsorships available, and we offer affordable platforms to reach thousands of listeners interested in fishing, hunting, and the outdoors. Find out more by contacting John Cruz through his website at AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com. That's AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com. Hurry, though. If you wait too long, the big opportunity might just get away. AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com.
Why book at Sportsman's Cove Lodge?
Why is Alaska like no other place on Earth? It hasn't changed in thousands of years.
From the way you get here on a float plane to the way you go out with the guides and the boats, it's just a professional experience.
And I said, this is as good as it gets. I said, if you can't catch fish here, you can't catch fish anywhere.
Your experience with us will leave you speechless.
Book now at alaskasbestlodge.com. You're back with America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz, and just in time for Halloween, we have a warning on one dish you shouldn't eat, even if you are dressed up as a zombie. The dish in question, squirrel brains. The reason why? They might kill you. From the Outdoor Hub, we learned the death of a man in 2015 was attributed to Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, which is similar to mad cow disease. The 61-year-old man from Rochester, New York, was admitted into a hospital after suffering chronic memory loss, deteriorating mental facilities, and muscle problems, all of which are symptoms of this disease. Once the man's brain scan results came back, researchers' suspicions were confirmed. Unfortunately, it was too late, and this man passed away. So the question quickly became, how the heck did this man contract this rare disease? The answer apparently revealed itself in his hunting habits. This man loved squirrel hunting, and according to the report, ate squirrel brains too. Therein lies the answer, at least potentially, as it's possible the man ate the brain of at least one squirrel with a brain disease, leaving him infected. So, if you want to avoid catching Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, which is similar to mad cow disease, which can kill you, here's my advice. Don't eat squirrel brains for Halloween or at any other time, because you may end up as dead as a zombie if you do. Turning to something less scary and more cheery, congratulations are in order for Maddie Ogg. She's a member of the Women Anglers of Minnesota who caught and released a new state record northern pike on October 6th. The 43.5-inch pike probably weighed north of 20 pounds and capped off a great day of fishing for her and her companions on that famed body of water you heard Jim Kalkofen talk about earlier in the show, Minnesota's Mille Lacs Lake. Minnesota is one of several states that now has separate state records for fish caught and kept, as well as caught and released. But the staff at Minnesota DNR that wrote this article said, don't be surprised if this record isn't broken sooner than later, because there are definitely pike that reach close to 50 inches there. Next, I had the opportunity to go on a fun duck hunt last week with Shelby Ross, the owner of Ross Outdoor Adventures and the Potholes Duck Taxi in Eastern Washington. And his pre-hunt speech in the blind made me realize that safety is worth sharing, especially in light of one of my daughter's classmates having been injured a couple of years ago in a duck hunting accident. Here's the deal. When you're hunting with friends, make sure you agree on your zones of fire in front of the blind and don't swing past them, which can endanger other hunters. Have one person be the shot caller who decides when you're going to take them. Once that call is made, that's when you stand up, take the safety off, and fire at any ducks that may be in your zone of fire. If you're hunting with a dog, make sure you know where that dog's at. This is really important when it comes to finishing off crippled birds on the water, or if low-flying flocks of ducks like teal sweep in over your decoys while the dog is out retrieving a bird for you. Oh, and whatever you do, don't shoot the decoys. Those things cost money, and the good ones, they cost a lot of money. There's one more conversation we're going to have this week on America Outdoors Radio. I want to introduce you to an organization called the National Wildlife Federation, and I'm going to do it through a spokesman, Drew YoungDyke, who works with them in the Great Lakes region. Drew, welcome to the show.
Thank you, John. Appreciate you having me.
So, Drew, I guess I need to start off with an apology. I don't know why, but I had it in my head that the National Wildlife Federation was an anti-hunting organization. It turns out I'm wrong. Why don't you tell our listeners a little more about what your organization is all about?
Sure, and that would certainly be news to our founder. We were actually founded in 1936 by Ding Darling, who was the inventor of the duck stamp. So that's where our founding comes from, and we're a coalition of 51 state and territorial affiliates, and that includes hunting and fishing conservation organizations like the Montana Wildlife Federation, the Idaho Wildlife Federation. It includes environmental organizations that might be the state affiliate for that state, some Audubon groups. We're about half and half hunter-angler and about half and half kind of environmentalist Audubon. And where our policies come down is where those two sides can find common ground on national issues of importance.
All right, so let's talk about one of those issues, and this is a big one, wolves. Now, you live in the Great Lakes. There's a lot of wolves that are roaming the woods in Minnesota and the upper Michigan Peninsula. What's the stance that the National Wildlife Federation has on delisting wolves and letting the states manage them and even hunting them?
Well, I think our stance really goes to that compromise in nature. I actually used to work for our state affiliate, Michigan United Conservation Clubs in Michigan, where we worked on getting the wolves in Michigan and Wisconsin delisted from the Endangered Species Act. And we supported a resolution that NWF adopted. And what our resolution on Great Lakes wolves, and it's a similar one on Yellowstone grizzlies, is that we agree that there are recovered species in those regions and they ought to be off the endangered species list. We don't take a position further than that, and we leave it up to the states using the best available science to determine whether or not there's any hunting. That's up to those states. But our position from a national level is that they're recovered and they ought to be off the list.
All right. Well, let's talk about some of the things your organization has accomplished, both on a national level and in the Great Lakes region where you work.
Sure. So in the Great Lakes, one of the big things that we work together is help pull together a coalition called Healthy Lakes, the Great Lakes Coalition, that has helped secure the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative, which puts about $300 million per year in Great Lakes restoration funding. We work on trying to keep out Asian carp from the Great Lakes so they don't wreck our sport fishing industry. On a national level, we're really involved right now with the heavy push to try to get the Land and Water Conservation Fund renewed. It expired at the end of September, and we're really pushing to make sure that we provide that critical sportsman's hunting and fishing access it provides and get that renewed by the end of the year.
I want to ask you a little bit more about the Land Water Conservation Fund. I think a lot of our listeners have no idea what that is.
Sure. So it's a fund that comes from offshore oil and gas development that belongs to all the people of America. So it provides funding for land access projects, especially opening up access and public land to open up landlocked parcels. It provides, in my region, a lot of boating access for anglers. And it gets granted out to states as well as secures national projects. It's all funded by offshore oil and gas royalties that belong to the American people, though. So all those grants require zero taxpayer dollars. So it's tax-free money that allows us additional sportsman's access.
And I think it's important to note, this isn't new. This has been authorized several times in the past. What was the holdup this time? Did everyone just get derailed by the Kavanaugh hearings in Washington, D.C.?
Yeah, that may be it. It was originally passed in 1965, renewed for 3 years in 2015, so that expired this year. What we're pushing for is permanent reauthorization and full funding of it so that we don't have to have this fight every couple years.
That's certainly a worthy issue to push for. I know that not only your organization, but other ones are pushing for that too. And folks, if you have your congressman's ear, or if you want to send a note to him, tell him to renew the Land Water Conservation Fund and make it a permanent renewal. Let's wrap things up by giving out the website so folks can find out more about the National Wildlife Federation.
Sure. You can find out more about our sportsman's work at www.nwf.org/sportsman.
That's nwf.org/sportsman, nwf.org/sportsman, or just go to nwf.org and get the big overview of what this organization and all of its affiliates are doing throughout the United States. Drew, thanks for enlightening me and a lot of our listeners on America Outdoors Radio.
Thank you, John.
While you're on the web checking out nwf.org, I hope you'll check out our show on talkamericaradio.us. It's the new voice of conservative talk radio, and you can hear our show as part of their lineup every Saturday morning at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can also hear us on demand anytime you want on Stitcher or Podbean. Just follow America Outdoors Radio, and you can hear us on YouTube as well. Our channel there is Northwestern Outdoors. That's one word. You'll get to hear not only this show, but portions of our sister show too, Northwestern Outdoors Radio. We've got to go, but as you just heard, October and November are full of hunting and fishing fun, and I really hope you get a chance to get out there and enjoy it. Here's hoping the good Lord blesses you in the days ahead, and do remember this: it is your country and your outdoors.
Looking to reel in the marketing opportunity of a lifetime? Then set the hook, because we've got it right here. America Outdoors Radio has sponsorships available, and we offer an affordable platform to reach thousands of listeners interested in fishing, hunting, and the outdoors. Find out more by contacting host John Cruz through his website at AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com. That's AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com. But hurry, if you wait too long, this big opportunity might just get away. That's AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com.
Don't leave yet. We've got one more local shot of fishing and hunting to wrap up the Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors Radio.
Pheasant hunting season has started in eastern Washington, and there's certainly a lot of public lands that you can go to, but everybody knows that private lands, especially agricultural lands, can be the best places to go pheasant hunting. But how do you access them? One way to do so is through the Royal Slope Booster Club in Grant County. With us here to tell you more about this long-running operation is Mike Meisberg with Mardon Resort. Mike, how does this work?
Good morning, John. 3 of us men got together many years ago, I think it was in '86, and we created the Royal Youth Boosters Hunting Club. This is a property that's privately owned, and the farmers donate it at no cost. And then the hunters pay $300 for a season, and then the children under 18 are half price. We also have dove hunting in the early dove season. On this property, there are some amazing goose hunting areas that are completely ignored. No guides are allowed on the boosters' property. It's only regular people, no guides. If you're ever guided, you're not allowed on the boosters' property. But basically, you come to Mardon Resort, and you can call Mardon Resort or do it by email, and we'll send the information to you. An additional part of this program is we have a pheasant release program. We buy about 3,000 pheasants, and we have on your membership information the dates and the times when they are released, which is extremely helpful for our old hunters and our brand new hunters. So for a complete cost of $300 for duck, goose, and pheasants, you can enjoy the pheasant release program with the Royal Youth Boosters. All these monies are donated to children in the Royal City School District. It's put us in some amazing facilities for our Royal City football team that's won 48 games in a row. And we put scholarships together and are awarded monies to advance on to different debates and things. But it's a good activity and a great place for hunters to come and enjoy eastern Washington on the Royal Slope area.
That's the Royal Slope Booster Club, folks. You'll find it in Grant County, Washington, which statistically is the best place to go hunting for geese, for ducks, and for pheasant. So get your membership for the season through Mardon Resort at the south end of Potholes Reservoir. If you're looking for a place to stay, Mardon Resort is a great place to stay. You can also go to MosesLake360.com to find other options too. Thanks, Mike.
Have a great day, John. Bye for now.
That's all for this week, but don't worry. We'll do it all again next Saturday morning from 7 to 8, right here on Seattle's Sports Radio 950 KJR.
NorthwestFishingReports.com is the Northwest's largest fishing reports website, featuring well over 50,000 fishing reports, videos, articles, and more. All 100% free. Catch more fish with Northwest Fishing Reports. Log on today.